Howdy. Welcome to another week of Canon Calls. This week's guest is country singer Cade Foehner. We chat about how great Texas is, remember the Alamo, Texas forever, etc. We chatted about his time on American Idol, the very same TV show that he met his wife Gabby. And lastly, what it's like to be faithful in a culture that generally hates the God you worship. So, without further ado, meet Cade. Welcome to another week of Canon Calls. A really fun guest this week, Cade Foehner. Did I get it right again?
You got it right again.
Perfect.
Due diligence. You did good.
Cade, welcome to the show, man. Thank you so much for being generous with your time.
Man, thank you so much for having me on. I listen to stuff all the time, so I just felt so giddy. You know, y'all reached out to do this. I was just plumb excited.
So if people don't know, Cade was on American Idol in 2018, season 16, if I'm correct.
Yep.
And you are now touring full-time with your wife,
Yes.
who was
Yes,
also on
yes.
the show.
Correct.
Now, you guys, you told me on the phone earlier you're going to start touring. You'll be opening for Brad Paisley here pretty quick.
Yeah, this summer we're gonna do that. They just announced it this past week. So yes, we're very excited. We're having a great time. But yeah, also we didn't. Most people, when we say we did the show together, we met on the show. We
You
didn't
met
go
on-
in there. We met on the show, which is odd. You don't think you'd find your wife on a television show, and especially being Christians, you figure we'd have more discernment than that. But
Well, you'd be surprised. I was going to
you
say the Christian thing is important, but there's like whole TV shows just meant for that. And
yeah, well, this was not that one. We didn't get on that one. We didn't.
right. So you were on. You went on American Idol. Now, Cade, another thing. So I talked to you for the first time last night. And, man, your voice sounds like it's been barrel-aged in Shelbyville, Texas.
Barrel-aged. That's
for
so
like
funny.
probably decades.
Yeah, well,
but how
not
old
quite
are,
decades.
But how old are you?
I'm 23.
All right.
23.
So, yeah, see, I guarantee you people are driving down the road and their jaws have all dropped if they didn't know who
That
you were
is so
already.
funny.
So
That is hilarious. I think I have one of the most annoying talking voices ever, but that's hilarious. Even my wife Gabby, she's from Pittsburgh, but she's even, I don't know if I've rubbed off on her or what, but she's 19 and everybody's like, they talk to her in radio interviews and stuff, and they're like, "Are you from Virginia or Alabama?" She's like, "No, Pittsburgh."
Yeah.
It's I don't know if I'd like to think that I took. I did it, but I don't know where it came from if it wasn't for me.
I think you are to blame. I mean, that thing is barrel-aged in Texas. So
Yeah, well,
as somebody,
I'm the proudest Texan in the world. So
Are you?
Yes, I really am. Remember the Alamo? I say it all the time at
Texas
shows
forever.
and everything. Texas forever. It's just there's nothing like being from Texas. No one else gets it. You are from Texas, right?
Oh yeah.
So you get it. You know what I mean? There's
Oh,
just a natural getting it that there's the Alamo. We're the Republic of Texas more than we're anything. It's I don't know. It's the cows. It's the horses. It's just I think Moses was slightly off in his geographial mapping of where the promised land was. He was getting close.
There's no
though.
doubt about that. I mean, there's no doubt about that, and that's just biblical studies, though.
Yes, it is.
Now
That's the true history.
and I got to be honest. I feel like such a fraud, man. Like a Texas fraud. Being on, like, our voices will be side by side for the next half hour, 45 minutes here, and man, it's people are. You can definitely tell I'm north of Dallas. That's,
yeah, you can, but it's okay because you do have an interesting voice. I was actually showing, so I listen to all the Canon Press stuff all the time. Me and one of my friends, we're both from Texas. We both happened to move here and didn't know each other, but I was showing him some of the stuff, and he was like, "Man, this guy's voice, he's so monotone, but he's reading this fire stuff, and he's just like, and I was like, this is amazing. This is what I'm talking about,
That's
so
hilarious.
it's interesting to say the least from an outsider's perspective,
Okay, well, good. All right, man. So you are now in Nashville, just outside
That's
of Nashville. Okay.
Yes.
All right,
Just
man.
yeah, I would tell the area, but
Well, we
yeah,
can't
I
have
don't know.
that.
Well, I could. I mean, it's not that big a deal. Nobody's going to come knock down the door. I don't think. We'll see.
We'll
But
see.
yeah,
We'll see.
just outside of Nashville. My wife doesn't like me to give the exact area, but I would if it was just me because I can hold down the fort. But
That
I've
seems
got a gun.
reasonable.
I've got a gun here, and most people when I tell them I've got a gun, they're like, "Oh my gosh, you have a gun? What are you going to do with it?" And I'm like, "Well,
Yeah,
come knocking at 3:00 in the morning. You'll know.
You will find out. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Cade, take me back. So you grew up, as we mentioned, in Shelbyville, Texas. There's so many small towns in Texas. Like I was telling you, I looked it up, and it's funny in the Google thing. I can see the Shelbyville Grocer, Shelbyville High School, and a bank, all on that highway main street right there, which is it cracked me up.
And I'm 10 minutes. I was 10 minutes from that, so that was a 10-minute drive to school every morning, in my big Dodge truck flying down the road.
I love it. So, were you just hitting every karaoke night there? I mean, would you grow up singing? Is this always something on your mind?
No, not at all. I grew up, of course, listening to music because who didn't, because it was on the radio. But I really loved music. I knew that I had a whatever it was, a connection to music in some way to where, like I just would sing every song, and I made myself memorize all the songs on the radio and all that stuff. I was an awful singer, though. Everyone told me, you just are no good at that, son, So I was quit that. And so eventually, though, I rodeoed my whole life growing up.
That's awesome.
You either like rode four-wheelers on the weekends and did those sorts of things, or you were a cowboy. And there wasn't a bunch of us, but my dad, I come from a huge line of farmers and ranchers and cowboys. My dad is the roughest, toughest cowboy to date that I've ever met. I'm not even half of the toughness he is, but he rode broncs in high school and bulldogged, which is where you literally wrestle a steer to the ground. And I didn't do that, but I did rope. So that was what I did. I calf roped and team roped, and I broke my leg riding a horse. I was probably 6th or 7th grade. And during the recovery of that, I started playing guitar. And that was really when I fell in love with music. So
that's the best, dude. You broke your leg from riding the horse, and then that's when you picked up the guitar. So I could just see you there with like a cast.
Yes.
Strumming.
Yeah. So yeah, that was my first musical love was guitar. I fell in love with that. I love Fleetwood Mac and the older bands. I just absolutely loved them, and that's how I learned how to play was actually watching the DVD of Fleetwood Mac in concert, and just watching and listening and watching and listening. And eventually, that's how I taught myself how to play drums and sing as well. It was just listening to stuff. Because we didn't have YouTube like where I live. We didn't have the internet.
Wow.
Because it was even in whatever time period that was. I can't think of it right now. But that wasn't 10, 12, whatever years ago, and we just didn't have it where I lived. Because it was so far back in the woods, you just didn't make it there yet.
Probably at that point.
Yeah, we did have that. So, and then I would get in trouble because I'd get on that big white computer and go looking for Fleetwood Mac videos, and it would just load like a second, and then buffer, and now it's just amazing. I'm still amazed by the internet. The fact that I can get on my phone right now and watch a 2-hour video without it stopping is just beyond me to this day.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. But
I bet your parents were missing phone calls too, because the dial-up took the phone calls away.
Yes.
So you couldn't have that.
I got in quite a bit of trouble for all the trying to look up the internet videos of my favorite bands and stuff. But so I naturally I had to figure out how to play by watching and listening sort of thing. But and then later on I got into singing. We didn't have any local music scene whatsoever. It was more or less of just there were some bars and stuff, and we were 15 years old and found some buddies of mine, taught them how to play their instruments, and learned a couple songs, and then we would just try to go play anywhere we really could. there wasn't a music scene there.
Just
you know
doing
what I
those
mean?
bars at lunch, maybe, or
Yeah,
when
that was
15-year-olds play at bars, I guess lunchtime.
no,
maybe?
no. We did play them at night, but we just didn't tell them how old we were because
That's
we
the
came.
ticket. Probably
Yeah,
nobody asked either.
nobody asked. It was
Yeah.
that it takes. I've heard Doug Wilson talk about the Republican and Democratic sort of ideals. The Democrats are heading off the cliff at 100 miles an hour. The
Right.
Republicans are just going off about 60 miles an hour. It's sort of the same thing in
Yeah.
regards to it takes it's Shelbyville area about 20 years to catch up to major cities to what
Totally.
they're doing, and kids being in bars and whatnot.
What's
But, I don't know.
what's the closest major city for you guys? So like if you wanted to go see music, where would you have to go?
Well, Shreveport, Louisiana.
Oh, okay. So
is,
that's
is
okay.
that is about an hour 45 away.
Okay.
And then Houston is 3 hours. Dallas is 4 hours.
Okay. All right.
So those are the closest places you can really go. But I always like to give credit to Nacogdoches, Texas.
Okay.
You got to try to spell that.
Right.
Nacogdoches, but that's Stephen F. Austin University there, and that's not a big town per se. It's like it's a town at least, though.
But it
and
is
that's
over
where
there
we would
in
go.
that area. That is a big town.
Yeah, it is to us. That's where we would go to watch movies and go out to eat and stuff that town people did.
Got it. So
Yeah.
who was your first? What was the first band you saw live?
Ooh, let me think here. I think Leonard Skinner.
Wow.
In Shreveport, my mother and dad took me and one of my sisters to see them. I don't remember too much about it though. I just know it was really, really loud. That's what I remember. It was really loud, but it was
They are
great.
loud. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, they are loud. But so yeah, that was the influences of Southern rock, country. Glenn Campbell, I love Glenn Campbell. And my dad listened to a lot of country. My mother listened to more rock stuff, and so I got a good heavy dose of both.
So, did you do like a high school talent show? Like, did you do anything like that? Did that?
No, that was not my scene. We did have that, but I would have felt nerdy doing it, in some way.
Sure.
Yeah, so I did. I did. You'd be surprised. I went through like a sort of hippie like stage, and I'm not proud of it whatsoever. But I just wanted to be. I wanted to be different,
Sure.
I wanted it. So I started. I sewed patches on my pants and tried to make bell bottoms, and I was against the man, or whatever.
Yeah,
It was absolute silliness. Looking back now, I'm like, that's utter silliness, but. The Lord's good, and he weaves a story for His honor and glory. So
yeah, and sometimes you're the joke. There's portions of your time that you are the joke.
It seems like that I'm always the joke looking backward.
Okay, so when did it kind of become clearer that this was the route you wanted to take? I mean, you mentioned that this wasn't anything you were necessarily building towards in a meaningful sense. So when did it sort of zero in, like, oh, I may actually want to do this?
We did. I did like it was like a guitar competition or something like that. Forget the year, but I was in high school, and again, I was just more geared toward guitar during a lot of that time. I only sang because no one else could, and I was brave enough to at least sound bad and be confident about it, I guess. But we went to some guitar competition. I won that thing. It was called Texas Top Guitarist Under 20 Years Old or something like that.
Okay.
And I won that. And then I was like, okay, I really enjoy performing because there was actually people there, sort of thing.
Where was it? It sounds like a state fair thing.
Oh, it was in Dallas. It was it was one of the biggest guitar festivals that comes there every year, something like that.
Okay.
They had some sort of competition like that. I won that, and now I was just really I wanted to do it. I was like I enjoy performing. I do enjoy it, so I'm gonna go for it in some aspects. So I just kept at it. I started recording my own stuff I had a barn studio. Me and my dad built a little room out of chicken house materials.
Okay.
That were left over, and I would get in there with a little crappy recorder and just record and do try to come up with stuff. I love to write songs. I still love to write songs. That's just I love doing that sort of stuff. And but I did kind of give up on it though, sort of ish as I got older. When I started going to college, I liked it, but like I didn't know where it would go to. I tried out.
Where did you go to college?
So go
by
ahead.
the way?
Well, first I went to just a community college.
Okay.
But then I really, right out of high school, I really started reading my Bible. Like I wanted to know who God was. I, grew up Christian, as a Southerner would say,
Right.
But I really wanted to know, okay, if He's God, who is He?
Yeah.
Really, who is He? And so I really started reading my Bible, and I just fell in love with reading, whereas before, like my high school career and whatnot, I was just a lackey, and I didn't try, and I didn't read, I didn't do anything because I only wanted to play guitar. Like that's all I wanted to do. But I just fell in love with reading the Bible, and so after that, all that to say, I tried to look up online schools for biblical theology because I wanted to know more about who God was, and I want to be guided in that. And so the first thing that popped up was Liberty University. I know there's, some stuff around that about the school and whatnot, and the guy or whatever.
For sure.
I don't know too much about it. I just knew that was the first thing I saw, and I was like, all right, that'll work.
Yeah,
I did because
totally.
I had. You have to understand, to people listening, I didn't have a theological framework that was really rooted in history or anything like that. I grew up in a non-denominational, little bitty, tiny church, and we were. I love my pastor to this day. We did go through some more charismatic-y type things though,
Sure.
because it's just that was just so natural to our area, What are you gonna do? So but the Lord again, it proved His faithfulness and His goodness to lead me by the hand through a lot of bad stuff, but into people like I eventually found my way into Reformed theology and all that sort of stuff.
So did you go to Liberty online?
I did do it online.
Okay.
And that was that was after I did a semester or two at a local community college. And then really I wanted my whole life I've had this little feeling of like I really want to be a preacher, not in any sort of way of I never wanted to be like a big preacher or something like that. I love the gospel, and when I really understood it, I don't know. It is always to this day. Whenever I go out anywhere, I find myself telling people about it and what it is. You know what I mean? At my shows, I did a summer tour. East Coast summer tour, and at every single venue I preached the gospel at the end of this. We did our set, and that was it. And then I asked them to stay, and no matter where we were, I told them the gospel.
That's awesome.
And got a lot of not nice comments, but I got a couple that came along. So yeah, so that's been mostly my life has been that sort of dynamic of doing music, but my heart is more than anything in the world. I love the gospel, and I love the truth of the Bible and what it stands for, and all that stuff.
I guess with the next step from getting into Liberty, and then you did the guitar contest.
Right.
What was the next step to get to the American Idol tryouts?
Yeah, so as I was doing the Liberty University things, I again had more or less shifted in that direction of like, okay, I don't see anything musically happening.
Sure.
So, and I'm not willing to move anywhere away. So I was sticking with that, doing that, and then I saw just a random, ad that American Idol was coming back to, with television or whatever. And so I just thought I'd give a shot at it. I had tried out a couple of years ago before that and didn't make it past anything. So, wasn't a big deal. But I had a contact with them still, and I just asked if I could try out in some way, and they said yeah, and gave me like a private audition, and then it took off from there.
Oh, wow.
So it was a very providential thing, from the Lord. Because seriously, had that not happened, I would have continued studies, and I would be a preacher by now of some sort, of something like that.
Sure.
But I wouldn't have met my wife, wouldn't have moved to Nashville or anything like that. So it's all in His timing, though, is what I'm seeing. Just He
Totally.
proving His faithfulness through the story that He weaves for His name.
Now, I heard a story when the other contestants on American Idol heard that you were a Christian and you wanted to be a pastor. They kind of took an interest into that.
Yeah, most people did, because in that sort of realm, there's kind of two sets of Christians, I suppose. There's the I'll only mainly see the one kind, to be honest, is the lovey-dovey. I'm here to be real, and Christ loves you for who you are, and you can stay in your sin and not ever change.
Right.
But I just have not really met any that are on the other side of no, you need to repent of your sins, and you need to turn. And all of this that we're doing, me and Gabby are on the same page here with this, is that we do this music. I did the show and all these things to use the gift that God's given, but it's in order that we may give the gospel to others. It's in order that we can magnify His name through the art that He gave us to use. It's the means to the end of the gospel, right?
Right.
That's the way I view everything. I view, if I'm driving down the road, I believe that it's for a use, And so when we were there, I didn't hold anything back. If someone came up and asked me, because I did, there was a transgender on the show who made it, to the top 10 or whatever.
Okay.
It was cut a couple of spots before me, but I had conversations with him, about that I didn't equivocate on. I was like, this is true. You do need to repent. But it was very eye-opening to be able to talk to these people, because growing up in Shelbyville, you did not see that.
Right.
Period.
Sure.
And so I was shell-shocked when I
Sure.
first saw this, because I didn't, of course, I didn't go looking for it on the internet or anything like that. Heard the terms, heard what it was and all that, but to see it, to talk to this person, it was just a whole different realm. But yeah, they were all. I did get a kind of respect, though, that I'm very thankful for. It wasn't. They were never rude to me. They were never hateful toward me. Honestly, they really weren't. And I was not. I didn't back off on anything.
Sure.
Associated with them, but they knew where my stance was, But
that's awesome.
It was an amazing time in the providence of the Lord to be able to, bear witness to people who are not going to church, and they're not going to hear the truth anywhere. You know what I mean?
Totally.
So,
well, and I imagine for them, they've probably never met anybody from Shelbyville. So
yeah, nobody's ever really met someone from Shelbyville, because they're all they're there and they don't ever leave.
Sure. When did you? Because you said you had a private audition. Now, that wasn't with like the three famous judges. Is the private audition?
No.
So at what point? Like, when did you first play for? The judges that year were Lionel Richie, Luke Bryan, and Katy Perry.
Correct.
So when did you originally play for them?
I think it was like October 2017 or something like that. So
Okay.
this was a lot of, half of the show's pre-recorded.
Okay.
And then they show it, in March the next year. And so that was, yes, that was, I'm trying to remember. I think it was in Baton Rouge or New Orleans or something like that.
Wow.
New Orleans. I think it was in New Orleans. Yeah, that was my first little audition with them. And it was like a whole day of just sitting there. Literally, I was just exhausted by the end of the day. I was one of the first people to get there and one of the last people to audition.
Oof.
And just sitting there. You did some interviews, but man, it was just, I was so tired. That's all I remember. I think I think that's kind of a vetting process for their if you
Who's
can
willing
stand
to
the
sit
heat.
around? Yeah.
Yes, exactly. But it was, it was. I was amazed that I made it through, because I just never. I was a guitar player, you know what I mean.
Yep.
And so I always make the joke, I'm one of the only guitar players to ever, almost win the whole singing show, But I just thought it's just still one of the most interesting things of my life to everyone my whole life telling me, you're an awful singer, you're not very good. I was like, well, I'll show you. I'm going to go get on a singing show.
You'd be surprised. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's so funny. But yeah, I'm so untrained and unprofessional in so many ways. But it just, it goes back to the Lord puts people where He wants them to show truly the foolishness of the world. He uses to shame the wisdom of the world, sort of thing.
And I imagine even just emotionally, whether it's with your faith or I even think maybe just where you grew up, like playing for them, obviously it's a very cool moment and stuff like that, but it's not like you were necessarily a kid of the internet age who's so beholden to Katy Perry or Luke, that
Right.
you kind of just could go in and be like, well, here it goes, I don't.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so true. I mean, I of course was aware of all of them. I love Lionel Richie. I was a fan of him. But from that moment on, I had been shell shocked or just amazed by quote celebrities before, but from that point on, I was like, they're normal. I was
They're
like,
normal
okay,
and probably and like kind of pretty weird. I mean, like I was
yeah,
looking through
yeah,
some of those
yeah.
old videos, and I was like, man, I feel like there's no one that knows how to make it about themselves than Katy Perry.
Yeah, so that's the joke, isn't it? She, Lord bless her, she really, she cannot stand the attention being off of her.
I tell you what, man,
it's something.
And like I've heard of stories of Katy Perry being a weird judge or whatever, but man, just sitting through it, I watched just a couple of the highlights of your season. And man, I tell you what, it was like you sang and stuff, but then the rest of the time was just about Katy Perry being weird.
yeah, no, it was she came from a charismatic background.
She did, yeah.
Yeah.
Father,
And she was,
dad's a pastor,
yeah, well, yeah,
isn't he?
okay,
Well,
yeah, well, you know what I mean. You know what I mean.
I get it. I get it.
Yeah, I met him. He dresses in all. It looks like gangster clothes. I don't know how to explain it other than like a flat bill cap and a gold chain, and this is an interesting look. And I asked him if he was a pastor, and he said, "Well, I don't like to use that word."
Cool, I bet
I was like, okay. Look on this side of a little more knowledge. I'm like, well, I'm glad you don't use that word. It's
right.
good.
Yeah,
it's
no
a
doubt.
good thing. But they were nice, nonetheless. I don't take away. They were nice to me and honored to meet them and all that good stuff. But yeah, you can just tell. Isn't that the logical conclusion of some charismatic theology? I feel like So at least thank you for living coherently and truthfully to your worldview.
Is there anything kind of that would surprise folks that watch American Idol in terms of like, is there anything about the experience or obviously it's kind of unique that they film half of it beforehand and then they kind of catch up and then you finish out the season, but is there anything behind the scenes that's interesting or something that would take me by surprise?
I don't know. I mean, let me think. Not really. Because we didn't, they tried to, in past times at least, they try to get people to pit against each other, sort of thing.
Right.
But they did say we were an oddly close season. We were just all friends, and I mean, me and Gabby, of course, we were beginning to date. We weren't trying to make it about that whatsoever. We were trying to more or less just keep that behind the scene because we were only dating. We didn't know too much about each other. I just knew that, and she knew we were attracted to each other and we enjoyed each other's time. That was about it. And we were trying to be focused on what we were doing. But yeah, there wasn't any like weird fights or people screaming and doing all the mess, and there really wasn't any of that. I guess the main thing is that should surprise you is that it was oddly calm.
Okay, that is surprising.
There wasn't any the typical reality television sort of stuff. It was so boring, in a good way.
Yeah, there are no producers just being like, "You'll never believe what Gabby said about you back there." But
not at all. There was none of that whatsoever. I mean, I think the craziest thing out of our season is that me and Gabby were dating, and then got married. I guess that's
And,
about it.
and probably even more shocking to most or to the standard of that show is that you're still married.
Yes, I think so. We've made it longer than most people. What is this? It's about to be 5 months. So
You
we're
guys are
doing great.
knocking it out.
We're knocking it out of the park, man.
If you're not
But
careful,
yeah.
you're gonna like lap some folks. So
I know it. No, that is true. Yeah, people are. I mean, people. That's a testament to. I don't know how different the world is nowadays. People were like, no. Y'all need to wait 5 years, get your
Sure.
careers really going. And I'm like, 5 years?
right.
Are you
It's a long time.
serious? That's a long time to be holy. You know what? I want to marry this woman. And yeah, but people were very not welcoming to the idea of us getting married. But I just knew she was. You know what I mean? She's one I
Sure.
want to be married to.
Sure.
It doesn't take too much as long as you love Christ. You want to see the world filled with the gospel. Let's do it.
No doubt. So your wife came in third.
Yes.
Where were you at in the standings?
So they cut 2 of us at once. It was
Okay.
the top 5 of us, and it was the episode before the finale.
Got it.
And they cut to us. One of my other friends, we were all friends, but so the joke is, me and him always, when we talk to each other, we're like, I'm number 4, you were number 5, sort of thing.
Yeah.
I like to believe I was number 4. I think he was a way better singer than me. I do grant that. He grew up in the black church and all that stuff, so he was running all over me.
That's
but
cheating. Yeah.
It's cheating. That's right. That's why I'm number 4. Is because I'm a sore loser.
That's
So,
right.
There
That's
we go.
right. What is it
Yes.
like after something like American Idol, where it's like the whole nation is watching you,
Mhm.
and then obviously some of that heat's going to come off a little bit, and it's time
Right.
for you to like start your career. So how's that?
Mhm.
How's that period been?
Well, again, just it has been a testament to the faithfulness of the Lord. Because it's outrageously easy to fall off the map. After one of these shows, if you watch, I don't watch television. I hadn't watched television so long, but I remember watching vaguely The Voice. When it was. It's still around, but watching several seasons of that, and those people immediately go away. You never hear about them again. And so it's just, I think what it is though is what I've noticed from our season 2, watching the other people who were on the show, is that they make some sort of star reality for you on the show. And then people come off the show expecting it to stay the same.
Expecting producers just to be there in their normal lives.
Expecting everything to stay the same, expecting, everything's going to be handed to me here too. And I didn't think that, neither did Gabby. We both thought, okay, we got to get to work. We got to go do something.
Right.
Because we've got to keep it rolling. So we both immediately jumped in and started doing as much as we possibly could. It's just it. I think that's the difference, in what happens. It's really easy for everything to relapse to the way it was before, because it's just a hot minute, man. Of people watching you. But after the show, it was just another grind of really playing a lot of shows and trying to record as much music as you can, sort of thing. But having Gabby, man, I just have been, just amazed at the goodness of the Lord to give me such a wife as her, to be such an encouragement, and to be able to marry her, and now we get to do music together, in such a special way. I think that's just amazing. I mean, there's just not any story like it, other than a couple, Johnny Cash and June, and a couple of others. But I'm so honored just to. Yeah, it is, but it's just such an honor to play music with her, because I personally think she's the greatest singer in the world. I really do. I think she's amazing, and I love being able to give my guitar to her, sort of thing, like they did in Lord of the Rings. Aragorn's like, you have my sword, sort of thing.
Yeah.
And I'm with you on this journey, and that's the
your
way I feel
axe,
about
dude,
it.
And your axe.
My wood chopping axe
Your axe, yeah, man.
or my guitar axe?
Well, yeah, I feel like that's what guitar's the axe. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
the axe. Yeah, I know. I was trying to make
Oh,
some
dang,
sort of
dude.
joke, but yes, my guitars. What about them? They're cool. You like them?
Well, yeah. I mean, obviously, with the scene, the dwarf is
Yeah.
like, and you've got my axe, and that's what you're saying.
Yes. Oh! I missed that one
I know.
completely.
Sorry, man.
Now I'm understanding. Oh, sorry.
When we start doing this on the regular, Cade, we're gonna be riffing like nobody
Oh,
else.
my bad.
No, it's totally fine. That was my fault.
I left that realm as soon as I dropped that. I left it and went somewhere else because you said your axe, and I immediately jumped to guitar.
Yeah, because I feel like that's the scene. That's he's just like in my axe.
And my axe, yes, that would have made more sense than my sword.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, I wasn't
No,
thinking.
it's
okay,
fine, man. It's fine.
you know what I mean.
It's fine.
You know what I mean.
I totally do.
Yeah,
it's not easy. It's not easy building rapport. But that's what the people don't know. But you get it because you're always being interviewed.
Yeah,
and I'm always interviewing. So
yeah,
it's a difficult thing out here, people.
It really is. It's hard to catch everything. I only have so big of a net here in my head.
We're only human, dude. We're only human.
That's the problem.
You brought this up earlier in the interview. You said, with this metaphor that Doug likes to use about liberals are going 100 miles an hour to the cliff, conservatives are going about 60. So it's not that the conservatives necessarily are this, reformational righteous group. They're just going slower.
Right.
So.
That's it.
And one thing I had actually written in my notes is I had a question about the entertainment industry. That's clearly the devil's backyard kind of situation where it's pretty bleak out there. But it's always seemed to me that the country music entertainment industry is at least, they're not driving as fast. They're a couple miles back.
Right.
But they're not necessarily perfect.
Yes.
So anyway, I was curious to know, like, how, as far as you and your wife are navigating stuff, like, what's it like I could see it going two ways. You being like, it's actually pretty nice. There's lots of Christians. Or maybe it's just a slow creep. Or what's that like?
Yeah, it's a slow creep because it really is. It's 10 years behind in Nashville than LA, if that makes sense. Because that's where the pop world is. That's where more of your mainstream stuff is. And then here, it's 10 years behind because here you're still getting, oh, I love Jesus and I love him, and then I drink and a lot, and I go party and do my thing. So it's a little bit of both. But then here's the thing. This is what I was thinking about. We watched I've watched award shows forever. Me and Gabby have been going to the CMA Awards, every year since Idol, and I've been there to where I saw Carrie Underwood sing a song called "Love Wins."
Yep, right.
I think, and it seems to be implying, in the end, love wins. Kind of the Rob Bell idea, sort of thing, is what it sounds
and
like.
Love is love. Who's to say it's?
Yeah, love is love, and I think she's talking about homosexuals and all that stuff. That in the end we'll all make it, which is bogus. But that made me mad because I was there, sort of thing. But I watched the Grammy Awards the other night.
Yeah.
And I was amazed at the raunchiness and grossness of the entire show from the beginning, from the first start.
Right.
It was, this rather large woman on there in some leotard, I guess. I don't know, singing about B word this and B word that. It started like that, and it was like it was on like CBS.
Right.
It was probably kids watching. It's supposed to be yeah. And then Alicia Keys comes on there and starts talking about how the social justice gospel sort of thing. She started talking about this ethereal like love fairy dust stuff. And I put on my the Twitter and Instagram. I was like, thanks for sharing the secular gospel, Alicia. That's why we all came. Sort of thing, and I had a bunch of people, commenting back, well, you're just so mean,
Right.
Sort of like, well, I'm like, what? I don't come here to listen to this. If I want to hear a sermon, I'll go to church. So That is the difference, though. Is it in some ways it's very subtle over here because I think it's just creeping in because you even have someone like Carrie Underwood who's been great, sort of. Who she has, of course, some wacky stuff going on there, but used to it was so not there. Now it's creeping in. You can see it that it literally is. It's a testament to the truthfulness of that statement. It's about 10 years behind, but it'll get there.
Yes.
And so
Go ahead.
Go ahead. You go ahead.
I was just going to say, so
I did it last time.
As you and your wife navigate that in the day-to-day, do you see it? And obviously, those are like big-time award shows. The cameras are on. What's it like kind of behind the scenes? Would you say it's about the same? Like everybody's...
Well, so, I mean, that's kind of like one of the things of these award shows. I feel like that's the mouth of the heart
right.
of Nashville sort of thing. CMA Awards, CMT Awards, those sorts of things. It's kind of, I draw those two together because you can see more of it behind the scenes. You can see more of this idea, of people, talking about their self-worth and their just that whole ideology. You can hear all of that all the time. You know what I mean?
Totally.
Gabby's gotten conversations with people about, gays and how everybody you talk about, they're like, oh no, I don't think there's anything wrong with that, and yes, I believe in Jesus. And then she'll bring up or I'll bring up, well, don't you think that's inconsistent with the Word and what it says plainly?
Right.
You know what I mean? And no one seems to care, though. I'm losing something somewhere because no one cares that it's inconsistent, and it drives me crazy.
Yeah.
But it's very much behind the door. It's you can see it foaming, and growing. You know what I mean,
right.
sort of thing. So it will be like that. But I think, and I'm grateful that the Lord has put me and Gabby here, at least, because I can lead her in such a way. I know that the Lord will use me to do this to where she can stand testimony and stand up there to these other women who are around, because it's a lot of these women are some of the loudest ones.
Right.
And I told her, I was like, you're the only one in this town who says the things you say.
That's
you're the only one.
Especially with the platforms like this.
Yeah, no one else is retweeting Doug Wilson here in Nashville. No one's putting up quotes from Rachel Jankovic's book,
right.
on her Instagram. And I think that's I get tears in my eyes thinking about my wife standing against that in the name of Jesus. You know what I mean?
Totally, man.
Like and then that makes me want to have kids, because I want to see them stand firm. If there's no one else standing in the whole town or whole country, we stand because Christ is King and He has really won the day. And I want to point this back to Canon Press to being the encouragement for that, because I do believe that Christ has won the day. He is truly the King, and the gospel will prevail over the whole earth. And because of that encouragement, it enables us all the more to go to these people who want us to step with them, step in stride with them, because we have those pressures every day of like, well, you can't say it like that.
Right.
You shouldn't really do that because that could hurt your career. And we say, away with our careers.
Cade says, listen, I'll go on Canon calls. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's right. That's what we have to say about that, is that we'll go, because that's what this is about. That's what I was talking about earlier was these are all means by which we get the message out. How dare we let the means become the end? Right. So that, that's what we're up against, but we know we'll win.
Yep.
Yeah. And that's what I feel like bolsters the message so much more for us, even here. Like, I'm saying this as us, like pretending like Gabby's here, because this is our thought as a family, is that knowing that this is the will of God. You know what I mean? That we go into these dark places, being surrounded by all this, and telling them the war's over.
Right.
You know what I mean? Quit, put your guns down. He's already won, and you've lost. Come on over.
Yeah, right.
Sort of
you
thing.
Come quietly or cheerfully. Or
yeah.
whatever.
That's what I was. I was trying to remember what the quote was from Doug, because I try to write down some of those quotes because they're so witty.
got to,
Golly,
man.
they're good. Yeah. I wrote one down. It was like trying to sweep water uphill, and then there was another one. The only difference between garbage and salad is timing.
That's right.
Who comes up with this
Yeah,
stuff?
man,
You know what I mean?
That one. That was a good one. Okay, and so you were telling me last night, you were like, "No, my wife's way better than I am at this stuff." And
Yes.
and from just from the interview itself, you were saying you're going to go back to doing what you love most, which is playing guitar.
Yes.
So you're going to be playing guitar for your wife, but at the same time, dude, you're still releasing music. You released something on February 12th.
Yeah, I do release. Just recently we've decided to merge this stuff together, just for the sake of thinking of kids and because that was, again, her biggest dream in the world. She said to me, when we first met, was, I want to be a mother. And what a testament again to the Lord. That he genuinely makes people. He makes men and women unique and different from each other, sort of thing. Because I wasn't even there. I wasn't even thinking in those terms, of course, sadly. I think sadly, because I kind of bought into the whole thing of, well, we need to get our careers going first. We need to think about this.
Yep.
And then she was like, no, I want to be a mother, and I want to get married.
Yep, the indictment of Cade.
Yeah. Yes, I know. And I was like, what? And she said from whenever I kind of acted standoffish about some of those things, she started praying for me. And then, my mind completely flipped. And now I want a huge family. I want, and it's been through, thankfully, no lie, Canon Press.
Okay.
It has been through when I started watching those. Yes,
this
I know, it's true.
Advertisement.
It's not, but I have been singing the praises of this stuff. I really have, because it has so changed my views, man, on the way I see the world, the way I see how we're going to win. You know what I mean? And and now I'm like, let's have a bunch of kids and let's baptize them. Let's do this. You know what I mean? And all my friends are like, where did you come from? Why are you acting like this? I'm like, man, Doug Wilson's got it.
Man, I got to be honest, it is so strange because already, I was telling you on the phone last night, the embargo on Canon's stuff is already so...
I just don't get it.
So big. And so for someone like you to like have made it through the embargo, and not only that, but you enjoy it, that's pretty funny. So I was like, we got to talk to this guy.
Yeah, no, I've been eating it up. I bought a bunch of books. I've been trying to make it through them while we're on the road and stuff like that, because I just enjoy, seriously, the practicalness of it. But at the same time, because I don't like grossly practical stuff, but I like the practicalness that still feels like we're doing something major.
Yep.
When Doug talks about sweeping the front porch, whatever, you're doing something for the kingdom of God.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And it's important. It's really it makes everything seem. I don't know how to explain it. Like, I feel like I am living in a movie sort of thing. Like, it's like, this is God's movie, man, and it means something. All these parts are really incremental in getting the word out about.
Yeah, man, your daily obedience actually matters.
Yes,
you doing that thing actually matters. You do it.
Who would have thought?
I know. I know.
Yeah,
it's too funny, man. So
it is. Now
we talked about your tour this summer.
We are
Anything
so excited.
else? What can we point folks to get to know you and your wife?
Just our we both have YouTubes. Just our names, Gabby Barrett and then Cade Foehner, and her name is Gabby Foehner. Don't worry, everyone. But she built the business before she met me under that corporation name. So chill out.
LLC stuff, we get it.
Yes. But just our YouTube pages, our Instagrams, and it's just our names, just my name and her name. You can find us pretty much anywhere if you just Google us. Put us in the old computer. We'll pop up somewhere.
Okay. And then love to have you and your wife on. That would be awesome.
Yes, I would appreciate that.
And what do you say? Come out to Moscow. You can be part of the Dad's Band. You guys could
Yes.
jump in on Doug's dad's band,
Oh,
and
I would love that. I would love it. I would. I would do it in a heartbeat. That's my next thing. That's what I'm going to be a part of. Is that?
I love it, dude.
That's where you'll find me.
Well, yeah, man, you've obviously committed many cultural sins in the last hour, and
Yes, I have. I'm excited to hear about them on my internet.
May God bless you and your wife, and go fight, win, dude.
Yeah, thank you so much, man. I sure appreciate it.
Totally. Thanks, Cade.
Thank you, brother.